Horror Hangout podcast where some bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke, and I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And today we have a very special guest. We have Gemma Amor. She's the Bram Stoker Award-nominated author of Dear Laura, Cruel Works of Nature, Till the Score is Paid, and White Pines. She's also a podcaster, illustrator, and voice actor, and is based in Bristol. Hey, Gemma.
Hello.
Where?
Bristol massive.
That's where you're from, Ben.
I know. I think we're at
Amazing.
different ends of Bristol. Is that correct,
Are
Gemma?
you south of the river? I think I'm north. I am
I'm
north.
south of the river.
South of the river sounds like the dodgy part.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, definitely.
It's the more interesting part.
I don't know about that. It's definitely might be the more dodgy part. Definitely where I live anyway. Where I was born and raised, you know? Can you tell? Maybe. I don't know.
There's like a long-standing north-south rivalry, isn't there? That like used to feature in all the local papers and stuff. And
really?
Yeah.
Does that mean we've got to fight to the death at some point?
I think so. I think that's exactly what it means. Yeah.
Well,
choose your
understandable. Yeah, you can only grab something that's close by as well. So I've got, I don't know, a lamp, a bottle of water. No, none of us any good. Got any good weapons nearby, Luke?
I can't understand anything you guys are saying. It's all Bristolian.
Cheeky monkey.
We've just dropped into local dialect.
Cheeky monkey. I'm not even born and bred Bristol. I'm from Norfolk, so.
Are you really?
All
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Well, if that's the case, Gemma, then let's just end it here, shall we?
Just get my things go. I'm from the Fens, the Fenlands. So
I don't know that much about Norfolk. Norfolk Broads from the David Bowie song and Queen Boudica. Is that how you pronounce it, Boudica?
I think so. Yeah.
Someone pronounced it weird on a podcast, and I thought, have I been pronouncing it wrong? It was
No, I
like
think you can say
Boudica or
Bodicea.
something.
I think you can say Bodicea as well, but I
That
have a
was the
feeling
one. Yeah.
Boudica is more accurate. I don't
I
know.
don't know what that is.
I'm not up with Bronze Age names and bits and pieces. She was a famous like tribal leader from that part of like the east of England, and her remains were like discovered with a chariot and stuff. And I think it was with a chariot. She was like a famous warrior lady. Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I just think of Alan Partridge's Norfolk Nights radio show.
Oh, Alan Partridge. Of course. I know of Alan Partridge as well.
You've heard of him. You've heard of him. That's good.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing now? Everybody enjoying themselves? Everybody having a lovely week? What of lockdown? What number of week are we in? Who stopped counting a long time
I
ago?
just stopped counting ages ago. I'm experienced. This is the first like couple of weeks in a row where I've really struggled with lockdown fatigue now. Like it's starting to drag because we're in the final stretch or one of the final stretches, who knows? And it's like you can see all these tantalizing things that we can do in the distance, like go and sit in someone else's house or go and have dinner, go and have a coffee, like normal stuff, you know, not have to hang around in the park in the freezing cold. And I'm so bored of parks, and I like being outdoors. And it's just like I can see it there on the horizon, but I can't get to it. Not yet.
At least I suppose. At least we can see it now. We can't get to it because before we couldn't see the end of it. It was almost like not knowing when it was going to end was what I was struggling with the most. But now there is some sort of. But I'm not 100% convinced. Not just yet. When festivals are coming out and saying, "Look, our tickets are on sale and stuff," I'm like, "No, there's no way I'm going anywhere near."
Yeah, I know exactly how I feel, and I don't know about you, but my mood in the last couple of weeks since like the coming out of all of this was announced by Boris. My mood has just been up and down and up and down because I get excited about something and then I'm like, oh no, I can't get excited about that yet because nobody knows what the future will hold, and it's like the uncertainty of it is terrible. I mean, I think particularly if you have like pre-existing mental health conditions as well, which I kind of struggle with a little bit. It's kind of taken all of those and just blown everything up by like 1,000, magnified it all. So I'm feeling the strain a bit at the moment. Really, hence drinking a lot more than I probably should and eating a lot more cake.
Well, yeah, lots of creative endeavors to throw yourself into, though. Yeah, that's got to be something that helps with.
There's always the work. There's
always the work. And joining us on podcasts. Joining two idiots. Sorry, Luke. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there. That was mean, wasn't it? Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah. On a podcast to talk about horror films.
This is what they call bants, isn't it? This is proper bants.
This
I
is
wouldn't
proper
know.
band.
I
Well,
wouldn't
Too
know either.
stupid to know. Apparently.
I'm too old.
Luke just comes off the end of the podcast just all a bit down, and he's like, "Was that
Oh.
Bants? Did I enjoy that? Was that fun? I don't know.
You've got bumps
I
in the
think-
feelings.
I think that's
How
what
am I
Bants are supposed to
feel
be.
right now?
I think you've got to feel like at least
Ow.
25% attacked after
Feelings.
Bants for it to, yeah.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
if anybody attacked me at the moment, I'd probably burst into tears. We're at that stage now where it's like the slightest thing could be misconstrued.
Yeah. Good
My
defense
husband-
mechanism, though, I find. Burst into tears.
My
Yeah.
husband would walk in the room and ask me like a really simple question about like whether or not I want broccoli with dinner, and I have been known to just literally burst into tears for like no reason
Broccoli
whatsoever.
isn't good
Just,
to some people, though.
it's just
Yeah.
it's an emotional thing for me, you know. These little florets, they're just. It's
I never know
rude.
how small to
rude
cut it.
vegetable.
I'm always like, when I cook it, do I cut it in tiny bits? Do I cut it in big bits, full florets? I don't know.
Too
It's a
many
minefield.
choices. Just tell me what to do, nature. Tell me what to do.
Yeah, just go and eat it straight off the supermarket shelf.
Don't get that with you. Don't get
Do
that
it.
with frozen peas, do you? The frozen peas are the simple, straightforward vegetable.
You know where you stand with frozen peas. I feel
You
the same for like
do.
green beans. Just a
Yeah.
little handful.
You saying
also-
you prefer your broccoli by the leaf? By the tiny little leaf.
By the clump.
Yeah.
This is not
Yeah.
where I thought this conversation would go this evening. I'm sorry.
No.
It's my fault.
It will go in a lot of different directions. Some expected, some not so expected, some terrifying.
Shall we direct it towards horror-related stuff? Are there any horror? Is there any horror news, Ben?
There's a little bit of horror news. Again, quite thin on the ground, and I really do hate to bring this up again because I feel like we've mentioned it on this podcast probably for over a year now. But A
Candyman.
Quiet Place 2.
Oh,
No,
okay.
nearly, very nearly. A Quiet Place 2 has apparently it got moved to September 2021. But apparently now it's going to be out in theaters on May 28th, Memorial Day weekend. So I'm assuming just in the US.
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. Ooh, we bloody Memorial. Yeah. And yeah, so originally planned for release March 20th, 2020, which is yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like sick of it's gone so far that I'm like I don't even want to watch it anymore.
I just watched The Office again, all the way through, so I'm quite excited to see Jim. What Jim?
Oh, right.
Oh no, he's dead, isn't he? Oh,
What?
spoiler alert! But he's not going to be in this one, is he?
I haven't seen it. Shut up.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, massive spoiler alert for that film, which we did cover on this podcast. But maybe he'll appear in some form. He's directing it, though, isn't he? So maybe you'll feel him. You'll sense him in that way. Yeah, they can't delay it again, can they? Because it's going to get to a point where just don't bother in it. Just delete the film. Just find the files, all the actual source. Delete the film. Don't even bother releasing it. But yeah, May 28th could be exciting. I'm quite excited to go back to the cinema at whatever point that will be. What was the last film everybody saw on the big screen? Do you remember?
Oh my god, I can't even remember. I think
Might have been Invisible Man for me.
Invisible Man was February, wasn't it? 2020. So that's probably a good shout.
it was Birds of Prey
Oh,
for me.
oh yeah, that was February as well.
It was a cracking good thing to see in the cinema. Actually, it was
Yeah.
big screen treatment. I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? Like some people are pushing back their releases because they genuinely believe that you need that cinema experience. And I reckon the Candyman remake is culturally that's a bit of an event as well because of the new narrative and the new themes and stuff that it deals with. And I feel like it does deserve its day in the cinema. Like streaming is fine, and it is fine. But we watched Wonder Woman 84, as a kind of cinematic release thing, and it doesn't have the same impact. You're not held captive by the screen. You are just sat there and it didn't kind of hold my interest the whole way through anyway because I found the writing a bit problematic on that one. So you're just scrolling on your phone and it is a waste. Like whereas if you're in the cinema, even if it isn't the best movie in the world, unless you're an absolutely awful human being, you're not sat there on your phone in the cinema, so you are giving it your full attention. I do understand wanting to hang out and wait for that. Like the Bond movie is like kind of delayed as well, isn't it? And I get why. I think because those things are meant to be an event, like
the Bond films like make a lot of money all over the world as well, don't they? So that's probably the reason why they want to delay that. But yeah, well, I managed to get to the cinema like every time lockdown eased and cinemas were open. I did kind of manage to squeeze
I did as
in.
well. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
See Tenet and that.
What was that?
Tenet, I think might have been the last one.
Oh, Tenet. When you said that, I was like, what? You saw what? Yeah, and I saw Wonder Woman. That was the last thing I saw on the big screen. When they opened the cinema for like, I don't know, 6 hours once.
I missed that window.
Get in! Get in and
too
watch
busy.
it! Get in and watch it! Well, I'm trying. There's no time for popcorn! Get in there! Oh.
Just throw popcorn at your mouth as you walk by them.
Yeah, that's what I do. It's just like a grenade of popcorn poof, in your face. If you catch what you get, it still costs you 12 quid. Yeah. What else? There's a bit thin on the ground. So, Olivia Wilde has shared the first look at her Florence Pugh starring psychological horror movie, Don't Worry, Darling, which is a brief logline. 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company may be hiding disturbing secrets. It's got Florence Pugh in it, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, Gemma Chan, directed by Olivia Wilde. I know I mentioned that, but going from Booksmart to this, bit nuts, but pretty cool. I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I've heard Booksmart is really good. I've not seen it though.
Booksmart is good. Have you seen it, Gemma?
No, I haven't. It's on my list of. I don't get to consume as much stuff as I would like. Books, movies. The only thing I do listen to more than the only thing I do consume more than anything else is podcasts because I can do it while I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
But I've got a long list of things I want to catch up on as soon as I get 5 minutes away from doing all the things, doing the things.
Doing all those things.
All the things.
Yeah. I just try and squeeze in my movie watching like late at night, but probably too late because I just lull myself into this false sense of security. I could definitely watch a 2-hour film. 10 minutes in, heavy eyes. I'm like, I'll persevere through this. Come on, you could do it. That's
do you find yourself watching a lot of movies in 2 chunks?
Yes.
Like it's a TV show. Like you'll watch a bit at night and then.
I resent that though. I do resent that, having to pick it up the next day. I feel a little bit annoyed. It feels like a dirty little secret. Do you know what I mean? Like, go watch the second half of this film, then watch the rest. So sometimes I do persevere, but probably, one in every 4 or 5 movies I probably do have to watch in 2 chunks.
If I start watching a movie anytime after 10, it's likely to happen.
10's
So just fall
dangerous.
asleep.
I was kind of feeling it with this one a little bit because I put this one on just after 10.
Mm-hmm.
And probably about an hour in, I was
this movie is paced, shall we say?
Yeah. Black and white was making me tired as well. What's that about? That's weird. Very dreamy. What else we got? So, don't know if you guys saw the zombie Korean TV show Kingdom on Netflix. South Korean zombie samurai warriors stuff. It was really good. Really kind of unique, but apparently they're releasing a special episode of it on its way this year. And they've released a couple of teaser images, which looks kind of badass.
You've brought it up a couple of times. I will watch it at some point. I'm just not quite there with zombies yet.
There's another show on Netflix called Kingdom, which is apparently like a UFC fighter show. Yeah. And the amount of times I've heard somebody say, "Oh, Kingdom on Netflix is great," and then I get ready to like launch into my, "I love Kingdom so much, it's so great."
Zombies, eh? And they're like,
and then I go, "What about those Korean zombies then? How do you feel about that?" And they'll go, "You what? It's a ultimate fighting show, you idiot." And I'll go, "What?" Yeah, so it's a bit disappointing. Really well made and just like looks amazing and is really like action packed and kind of gives, because everyone's had enough of zombies, I guess, so it gives the whole zombie thing something nice and unique as well, because there's loads of little unique little touches they add to it. So
I haven't had enough of zombies. I love zombies. I love all of that. I don't care how hacked. That's not the right word, is it? Hacky? I can't even speak. I'm Stoker Award-nominated author, ladies and gentlemen. What's the word? Hackney. There is a word for that you will know that I can't summon to mind. But it's been done a lot. That's what I'm trying to get to. I should probably get a drink. That might help. And and it's like I just doesn't bother me. I love it. I think it's the only subgenre of horror where I don't mind the tropes again and again and again, because it's just enjoyable. You know what it's like, comfort blanket horror, and it's apart from Train to Busan, which broke my heart in too many places. Now I can't watch it.
Nothing comforting about that film.
No,
that's scary in more than one way. Getting on a train, scary enough.
Yeah.
Zombies on it as well. Gonna miss it.
Yeah.
And there's zombies on it. What stressed me out about that is that the main character's daughter's on the train with him, and I just kept thinking, well, that's just like a horrible situation to be in. No, couldn't do it at all.
That's a whole lot of broccoli for me. That was a train full of broccoli, and it was
train full of broccoli's just turned up. Wow.
It was a good film. I love that. I do love that film, and I totally understand the love for it. But I don't think I can watch it again. I need some frozen peas. Please.
Did you see the sequel, that Peninsula?
No.
But not very good. It was like they kind of turned it into Fast and the Furious. That sounds mad, I know, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
What was I going to say about? Oh yeah, zombies for me. The reason I kind of fell out of love with it is because I persevered with The Walking Dead for so long.
Oh,
I love the comics, and I saw a meme the other day which was like, "Don't tell me where you're from or what star sign you are. Tell me where you gave up on The Walking Dead. I'll know all I need to know about you."
Yeah.
And I think mine was the tail end of series 7, possibly.
I stuck it out there for Negan's storyline. I think is where most people started to tail off after Glenn was so brutally taken from us. And Abraham.
Yeah.
I stuck with it for a few more episodes thinking, where's this going to go? And then I started to I've seen a lot of other people say the same. Like for me, I liked the fact that people were it had a real Darabont feel at the beginning, and like characters that kind of came together, and the unlikable characters, but characters that worked as a team, and they were kind of prevailing against like the odds. And then as it went through each series, it just became more about humans doing unkind, horrible things to each other. And I know that was in the comics, and I know Negan's a massive part of the comic like universe and stuff, but on screen it just didn't play as well for me, because it was just relentless and so grim, and I just wanted, I don't know, I couldn't after a while. I should probably go back and pick up where I left off, and I tried Fear the Walking Dead for a bit as well.
Yeah.
But sort of yeah.
I only saw a few episodes of that. I think The Walking Dead was good at introducing interesting characters, or it kind of had good villains, but it felt like it didn't know what to do with it. Like the conflict, I always found was a bit like naff. I didn't always feel fully invested in it. With Negan as well, like all I could really remember about him is the fact that he was always leaning back when he was talking. He was always like reclining, but there was no recliner in sight. And I'm like, "Are you all right? Is your spine okay, Jeffrey Dean Morgan? Because I am worried."
He's a tall chap.
A chiropractor. Maybe that's why. Yeah, he had to get into shot each time. He was just like, "Are you sure to say? Are you sure to say you want to set up the shot? Because I'm a tall guy. Just lean back. Just lean into it." Nice. Yeah, I don't know when it's due to end, because I think they're on series 10 now.
I didn't know it was still going. I've only seen one episode.
Well, we're still going.
It was okay, but
you've only seen one episode.
Yeah, but I was more into the comics, and I just carried on with those.
I felt. Sorry, go on, Gemma.
No, go ahead.
I felt the same with the comics, where the conflict that they kept introducing every arc, every story arc, I just wasn't invested in it. It was just like the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Find somewhere nice to live. Someone else is not so nice. They want to take that place.
There was the time jump in that, and that was a good sort of opt out.
Okay. Is that when they time jumped and Negan? They had Negan kept prisoner. Yeah. There we go. And the last thing I've got is Stranger Things creators are teaming with Steven Spielberg to adapt Stephen King's The Talisman. Very interesting. I did pick up Stephen King's new book today, actually. He's done another like hard-boiled crime thriller. What's it called?
Later, I think, isn't it?
I've literally bought it 3 hours ago, and I've forgotten what it's called. So that should be good. Have you guys read The Talisman? Because I don't think I have.
I have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I haven't. I've got Black House Is it Black House? I've got the sequel on my bookshelf, and I keep thinking I really want to read that, but I better get the Talisman first.
Yeah,
and
that's
work
with
through that.
Straub, isn't it? That's,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting because I don't. Has there been a Spielberg King, another Spielberg King movie? I was trying to think that when I heard the news. I couldn't put my finger because Darabont did a lot of King movies back in the 90s. It was like Green Mile and Mist. And then obviously Flanagan kind of took up the mantle and has done an awful lot of adaptations. But I was trying to think.
Flanagan was linked to do Revival, wouldn't he? And then
Yeah, is that not going ahead now?
I don't think that's going ahead now. No.
That's a shame.
Oh, well, when I search it, the first story is almost collaborations between Stephen King and Steven Spielberg.
I mean, I'm excited because I can't imagine anyone better placed to kind of do King the full justice, especially with a story like Talisman, where it's just there's so much. Like that, is that the one with the 5 friends in the hut in the woods? And no, that's Dreamcatcher. I'm thinking of Dreamcatcher. Sorry.
Ooh,
wait.
Dreamcatcher.
Did Spielberg do that?
Yeah. I think he
He
did.
did. Yeah.
No. Apparently not.
Did he produce it? Lawrence Kasdan.
Lawrence Kasdan, yeah. That's a film I've not seen in a long, long time.
No, I was just reminding myself of it. Yeah, I was thinking, a Spielberg remake of that would be awesome. But actually, no, I haven't read The Talisman. I've read Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
So I take it all back.
Well, there we go. I look forward to that in any sense. That's all I've got for horror news, unfortunately, unless anybody else has seen anything.
Not really, but I've not been looking, so that could be the issue.
That's what happens, you see. Don't look, you don't
I was too busy watching the Planet of the Apes movies because
Were you?
yeah, well, I mean, it took up so much time. There's 3 of them, the new trilogy, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then War for the Planet of the Apes. You were right; they're all great. Like the second 2 particularly are really good. It's just a really solid trilogy. I can't think of another trilogy recently that kind of fits. They're so cohesive. It sort of comes together so well, and we get sort of see the story right from the start.
And how does it make you feel knowing that the director of those films is now directing the Batman? Excited. Sorry, putting words in your mouth.
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess so. Who's Andy Serkis going to be doing in the Batman movie?
Who's he not gonna be doing? He's gonna do it everywhere. He's gonna be doing the scenery. He's gonna put a mocap suit on and he's gonna be the Batcave. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. The Planet of the Apes movies. After seeing these, I'm quite excited for everything that Matt Reeves does because they were just so well put together, like so confidently done.
Do you feel like they're named in the wrong order? Which is how
there's Rise.
Yeah.
Well, this is a prequel to the originals, right? So Rise is the first one, and then Dawn, and then War. War should be the middle one.
War should be the middle one because
especially given the events in the film, I feel like the middle one has more of a war in it.
Yeah, I follow that. They're still great. I think they're all really solid. Have you seen these films, Gemma?
Was this with Angry Caesar? That's all I remember. Is there was a really angry Caesar.
yeah.
CG was really angry.
Calm down, Caesar! For God's sake, chill out.
I don't know why but like the CG looked cross. You know, like there's the level of detail and the color and.
I've really got that miffed. Sorted. Yeah.
Angry hairy thing. I have seen them. Yeah, I do. Maybe I haven't seen the most recent one, but I've definitely seen the other 2. One of them's got that kid from Harry Potter in, haven't they? Malfoy. Grown up Malfoy.
It's the first one. Right. Yeah.
No, I thought they were well put together. They were definitely way more serious and much more rage filled on steroids than the kind of Charlton Heston movies from back in the day. But what's not to love about Helena Bonham Carter as a clever genius scientist ape?
Do you know what? I was always terrified. I was always terrified by Helena Bonham Carter in her ape makeup. No, just in her ape makeup. Like something about her. I don't know why. I just couldn't quite look directly at her in the film. I don't know why. I just felt like, I don't know how I feel about you.
She carried it off, though. She's probably one of the few actresses that could carry it off in a convincing
way.
Is that
a compliment or is that Tim Roth is in it as well, isn't he? As the general.
Oh yeah, doesn't he go like a bit Deadpool on them as well, and just like jack himself up on drugs or something? I can't remember. I don't remember movies as well as I need to. Doesn't he become really like enraged and big and hulky? Am I getting confused with Hulk?
But he
I'm getting
does that in
confused
the
with
Hulk
Hulk
as well.
Yeah, he does do that in the
Confused
Hulk.
with
Yeah. Maybe that's just his MO. Maybe it's like, do I become big and enraged in this film? Well,
does the
I haven't
same
written it
thing
in.
in
Add
Pulp
it to the
Fiction.
script.
Doesn't it?
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
As long as you're going to regret asking me on, it'll be like a whole. You'll get to the end of this, you're like, oh my god. Next.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg as well, looking great in that Planet of the Apes movie. I'm just naming everybody who was in that film, it would seem. But yeah, Mark, he loves it, doesn't he? Yeah. Have you seen anything else, Luke? Apart from
That's funny. I've been playing some games. I just talked bad about zombies, and I'm playing a zombie game, Days Gone, and it is really good. Zombies in particular are really good.
hordes, right?
You're sorry?
Hordes of zombies.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it. Is there's parts where they're quite easy to pick off one by one, but because you find yourself exploring a lot. If you go down the wrong tunnel or whatever, and you find yourself suddenly surrounded by a horde of zombies, it really captures that feeling of I don't know. You genuinely feel scared about getting into that situation. Yeah.
Haven't you got to keep your motorbike finely tuned as well? Is that correct? You've got to be a mechanic.
Yeah. This like the other day, my motorbike broke. I wasn't near anywhere, so I had to run across the map without my trusty motorbike, and it was painful. So you do want to look after your motorbike if you play Days Gone. Yeah. It's good. I think it's a really good game. It got a lot of slack when it came out, but it is good.
I've got it because I think I bought it on sale, and I would like to play it. I will get around to that. I've been playing the Avengers game, which is like kind of mind numbing. It's just button mashing. But I've just unlocked Black Widow, and playing like everything else is like you just feel like you're smashing everything. Hulk, Thor, every other character. But Black Widow plays like a cross between Tim Roth. Black Widow plays like a cross between Batman and Lara Croft. And it's just so satisfying. She's got like dual wielding guns. She's got like a grapple. It's just good times. But yeah, you can be every character essentially, but it's all right, I suppose.
Yeah. What about you, Gem? Have you watched anything, read anything good?
Well, it's just interesting. Like the video game thing always makes me chuckle a bit because I've beyond my Sega Mega Drive when I was a kid. I've not had a console. I love the Mega Drive. I was a big Mega Drive nerd, but I've never had a console since then. So I see a lot of gamer kind of talk online and stuff, and I've always felt a bit left out. So this year we finally got an Xbox, mostly because my son really wants to play Minecraft and badgered us into it, and now we don't let him play it because it overstimulates him too much. So never mind. But so I've started playing games, and I wanted to play all the horror games, but I don't. The controls are quite hard for me to get used to because they're like super sensitive, and finding I'm getting a bit of motion sickness as I'm playing like first person shooter games and stuff like that. So I'm learning. I'm learning as every day. But I stupidly we've got a Game Pass, so I downloaded the newest Resident Evil game. 7 is it? I can't remember. Having not played any of the others.
7 is terrifying.
I'm like, the game kind of eases in when you're just kind of wandering around this nasty spooky house, and it's all right for like the first hour or two of gameplay because I'm slow as well. And then it's just insanely violent. It's so violent, and I'm just like, and I get so scared by what's happening that I can't like function and control anything. So I've just tried about like 3 or 4 times to play the game, and every time something
that's
scary
going in pretty hardcore.
Like every time something scary happens now, I get my husband to come in and do that bit, and he's just like, la 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 la, okay, there you go, hands the controls back. And then I carry on going. So I always feel like an absolute nerd, like in a like when people have game conversations, because I'm just not a natural gamer, but I'm learning, and I'm easing myself into it, and it is quite fun. There are other games that are you sort of switch to when you can't handle the stress of Resident Evil. It's so stressful.
That is a game that you overcome. Like
Yeah.
you put it on your CV when you finished it because it feels like such an achievement.
I would
Or just
consider
me, anyway.
myself a seasoned horror gamer, but even that had me shaking many times. I think Luke played it in VR as well, didn't you?
I played a bit of VR. Yeah, that was almost too much.
So I've only made it to the stage where I've been kidnapped by the freaky family in the house, and I keep trying to get away from the nasty shovel wielding father figure, and I can't quite get around him to get to where I need to go without having my brains battered out by his shovel. It's horrible.
There's some like moments in that game, like Ben, you know when you go into the thing and there's, I don't want to spoil anything.
The thing. You can spoil it. It might make it easier for me.
Well, there's a bit when you're downstairs and then there's like stuff on the walls that come dropping off, peeling away from the walls. That's in the shadows. The imagery is so scary. Like I'll never ever forget that feeling of those things coming out of the shadows towards me.
It's a properly scary game, and I think I started, like most things in life, I aimed too high too quickly. So I need to I am playing is it Call of the Sea, Call of the Ocean? What's that one? It's like a puzzle game, explore game. That's quite nice. It's quite nice and genteel.
Yeah. I think you've got to switch between genres sometimes, especially when you're playing horror games. You can't let that be exclusively what you play because you're just on edge all the time. You're just like trying to make a cup of tea. You're just like yeah
it's the controls thing, because I'm not used to it. I just it's a bit like when I was learning to drive, and in a panic situation my brain just locks and freezes. They say you have like fight, flight, or freeze, and I'm a freeze. In any bad situation, everything stops working, which is not great for video games. So
or driving, but
or driving. Well, I don't really drive much anymore. There's nowhere to go.
No, there sure isn't. Anything else? Anybody watch anything else at all?
I watched this movie that you guys sent me. I also watched Impetigore a couple of days ago, which is an awesome gem of a movie.
I really liked it. Yeah.
And I've just noticed, seen just now that Saint Maud and His House have both been BAFTA nominated, which is very worthy and very good. Although we need some more horror movies on there, but it's a good start.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't actually seen the BAFTA nominations yet, so I'll go and check them out afterwards.
His House won the BIFA, right?
I think so.
Film Award, so
yeah.
Probably we could stand in.
His House was a stunning movie, and I think particularly as a Brit, like we know how difficult some of these issues are with kind of refugees trying to make a better life for themselves over here, and also you see it from the other side here. You see the racism and the nastiness directed towards people who are just trying to get away from something horrendous and start a new life. And it's like it was double layered for me, because the film presents it through his eyes and that family's eyes, but you're putting your own kind of knowledge of the experience they'll find when they get over to England on top of that as well. And just there are a couple of scenes in that movie that just made me really just like all my insides clenched, like I just couldn't bear it. Well done.
A very interesting twist as well, because I think you approach the film from one angle, and when you find out the twist, you're made to go back to how you felt about it originally, and kind of like reassess that. Reassess, which is good. I think.
Also, I'm just thinking about it now. It's making. I appreciate that. Not all the English characters are bastards. Like you think about, most of them are. But then there's the guy in the pub when they're like all singing songs together.
Yeah, and that was one of those moments, and I was clenched thinking, oh, this is all going to go horribly wrong, and then it doesn't, and that was actually a real relief. Like he was just allowed to sit in the pub, and have his little moment.
Yeah, have a biscuit.
Yeah, but then the other moment was where she's walking across the basketball pitch or whatever it is, and she's lost, and she asks a group of lads for directions, and they're just so horrible to her, and I couldn't bear it. I literally had to like go and make a cup of tea in that bit. I just couldn't stand it. It was awful. So yeah, really well done.
Good movie though. Yeah. What about you, Ben? What you've been watching?
I watched a couple of random things this week. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I watched this. I watched Murder by Numbers, a 2002, the Sandra Bullock crime thriller thing. It's got Ryan Gosling in it.
I like that film. I like that film.
See, I thought I liked this film. I remember seeing this and thinking,
It's like
Ryan
Copycat.
Gosling.
It's in the same ilk as Copycat. It was like that 90s
a little
thriller
bit.
murder. Yeah.
And it's got Michael Pitt in it as well. He's constantly pouting. No matter what the situation, he's pouting all the time. He's got the lips for it, though, so we'll let him off. Ryan Gosling, he's wearing a red leather jacket. He's got, like, frosted tips, his hair. I'm baffled. Now. I'm baffled by this. This is probably the first Ryan Gosling movie I've seen where I've gone, sort it out, Ryan. What are you playing at here? What are you playing at? I didn't really enjoy it this time around. I found it was a film that, like, thought it was more intelligent. I can't even say this sentence, which makes me sound like an idiot. It was dumb and it thought it was smart, essentially. I don't know why I felt about Sandra Bullock's character, because they were trying to sort of impose this like certain character traits on her, and I don't know if I was completely convinced at any point. And also I didn't understand what the end goal of Ryan Gosling and Michael Pitt, these two high school boys who
are
Ryan Gosling's head doesn't look finished. Like if you look at some of the pictures, compare them to Blade Runner, that's a finished product.
It's work in progress.
Yeah, and just think about. Have you seen this film, Luke?
I don't think I want to.
No, just think about this film and think. You look at the poster, you look at a few screenshots, you think, I know everything I need to know about this film. No, you don't, because she gets attacked by a baboon in the film. That happened.
Brian baboon.
There's that whole tranche of like 90s movies along those lines, like the one with Sigourney Weaver, the one that I just mentioned, Copycat, and then there was like the Bone Collector. Was it Bone Collector with Angelina Jolie? And like they were all in the same mold.
Any movie with Ashley Judd in.
Yeah, and just like that slightly high class, more like not quite Silence of the Lambs, not quite Scream. Just like somewhere in the middle of the two, you know. It does look unfinished.
It does look odd. Also, there's a moment where Ryan Gosling licks Sandra Bullock's face, and apparently that was ad-libbed. That's right, isn't it? Right?
Ad-licked is the term.
Ad-licked,
yeah.
But and you're thinking, that's a bit weird, having someone lick my face, and I'm not giving them permission for that. They ended up in a relationship after the film, so clearly she was like, lick that face. I got attacked by a baboon.
Crikey, I'd be in a relationship with Sandra Bullock, quite honestly. She's awesome.
Maybe not her character in this. There's something about as I said, the character traits they try and enforce on her, which is like trying to say, she don't care.
Unlikable women. It was a thing in the 90s. You watch any 90s thriller and tell me that you like any of the women in any of them. It was like a big thing.
Her colleagues were trying to. There was a thing where her colleagues were saying she's the hyena. And I can't remember the reason they gave for why they called her a hyena, but I think it was something to do with female hyenas have got like a faux, like a fake, almost penis looking, and it was like too on the nose for the way they were trying to describe her character. It's like, she hasn't got a fake penis, but she might.
I don't think.
What was that?
She is awesome though. Like she can pretty much own any film she's in, even if the film isn't that good. You know, like she's just awesome. She sort of elevates a script, like just insanely competent and talented lady. Interestingly, one of my favorite films with her in is The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds, in which she is a really unlikable, frosty kind of bitch, but she gets a chance to kind of warm up a little bit by the end, and it's a funny movie. She's funny. I like her a lot. She's very good.
I like her in Miss Congeniality as well. Even the sequel, I think I've got a lot of love for that. So I saw that, and then I also saw the Coming to America sequel, Coming to America. That's genius, right? Who can believe it? Has anybody seen this yet? This came out.
I saw your rating on Letterbox, and I was like, okay, interesting.
You know what? I actually liked it, and I've seen a lot of reviews on Letterboxd and a lot of people saying, some of the jokes are too on the nose, a lot of the callbacks. Sure, pretty much every character from the original returns, every minor line and plot thread is kind of called upon in some way, shape, or form. How are the barbershop dudes still alive, considering they're like 90 years old in 1988? But they are. Yeah. So basically, it was all right. I liked it. It was funny. I had a lot of laughs.
I don't really remember the first one all that much, so...
First one's great. First one is probably the first F-bombs I ever heard in movies. I remember feeling a bit like, oh, what's going on here then? Oh, they're swearing a lot. Oh, I shouldn't be watching this. So yeah, I've got a lot of love for it as one of those movies that kind of reminds you of my childhood in that way. But that's it. That's all I've watched this week.
Other than The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yes, she does.
Let's dive in.
Okay. So, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is a 2014 American horror western film written and directed by Ana Lily Amirpour, promoted as the first Iranian vampire western. Well, that kind of makes sense. In the Iranian ghost town of Bad City, a place that reeks of death and loneliness, the townspeople are unaware that they're being stalked by a lonesome vampire. Just put loneliness twice. And lonesome, loneliness, lonely in the tagline there.
Yeah, so IMDb has it at 7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes critics give it 96%. User score is 75%. Letterboxd, it's sitting at 3.7. We've got some choice Letterboxd reviews here. I normally go for funny Letterboxd reviews, but people weren't that dumb this time around. They were quite well considered. I mean, considered-ish. Carlo gave it 5 stars. He says, was expecting a vengeful vampire horror movie, but it got a cute romance with a banging soundtrack. Nick Helt said, I was just so incredibly bored. I didn't care about any of the characters. The pacing was awful. This was basically a drawn-out music video.
Sounds like a book review.
Yeah. Andre, he's got a great little profile picture here. It's very smiley. Aesthetically beautiful, but all for nothing. I've been trying to find any sort of meaning for this film, but I cannot. It's just pretty. 0.5 star. And then Sophie put, this is Twilight, but for art hose of exquisite taste. 5 stars.
Wow. That's a damning indictment, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, she gave 5 stars. She liked it. Yeah.
Twilight for art hose. 5 stars. There we go.
I mean, have you guys seen this? What's your first impressions for this film?
I like the comment about the banging soundtrack. Like, for me, this was all about the music. Like, I could have just listened to the soundtrack and just been in heaven all day. It was that kind of poppy, synthy, chromatics, like funky, pulpy, brilliant. The music was awesome, but it was mixed in with like the Iranian kind of pop songs and stuff as well. And that was interesting that it's like, you said it's kind of an American setting. It's like an Iranian American setting, and I found it really hard to know where it was actually filmed. So I couldn't figure out if it was filmed in America, or I'm assuming not in Iran for obvious reasons, but it just gave off these really confusing vibes. You weren't quite sure where Bad City is and where it was meant to be. But I quite liked the ambiguity of that as well. And I think that's just like summed up the whole movie for me. It was just really ambiguous. It wasn't really one genre or another. It didn't feel like a Western to me, unless it's kind of like a subverted version of a kind of cowboy rolls into town, a mysterious Lone Ranger rolls into town and then walks off again. But it felt like it kind of borrowed from like Tarantino and Lynch and kind of Let the Right One In, and it was all a big mishmash with a load of kind of not as much cultural stuff as I thought there would be. Like, I was expecting perhaps more about kind of Iran or kind of certain like societal stuff that would be prescient, I guess. But it was just cool. I thought it was really pulpy and cool and compelling. I do think I got to the end of it and I was a bit like, would have liked something a little bit more to have ended with. Like, it was a nice love story ending, unless of course she gets bored of him and eats him because he keeps asking her about broccoli. But it's just like, I wanted a bit more out of the story, but it looked sounded amazing to me. Just loved the soundtrack.
Yeah, I think I agree with that soundtrack. I think it's the first time. It reminded me of how I felt when I first watched Drive, where I was like, right, I need to find out what these songs are immediately because I need to hear them again. And yeah, so when you said chromatics, I felt like that as well. I kind of feel the same about the ending. I feel like it maybe fizzled out, whimpered out a little bit rather than anything really that interesting. But yeah, looks great. A nice, unique take on the vampire genre as well. And it wasn't just like all you kind of thought, okay, she's just going to stalk everybody and eventually kill them. That's what's going to happen. And the fact that she didn't really do that, I thought was quite.
Well, it was a feminist kind of choice as well, because she only really ate and fed off of the diseased bodies of men who'd behaved badly.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well, like the very opening scene where Arash, the male kind of lead, is like he just randomly steals a cat from somebody's back garden or front yard or wherever it is, and then just walks home with it. He walks over a bridge, and in the distance in the bridge there's this kind of ditch,
all the dead bodies,
and it's just full of dead bodies, and it's just like, oh, I nearly missed that, it's just kind of casually.
I didn't even see it the first time I watched it. I only saw it this time. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
I didn't notice it the first time until they ended up dumping a body there. Well, Arash ended up dumping a body there. That was the only. I was like, oh, that ditch is full of bodies. Didn't even notice the first time, right?
Isn't that crazy?
So
that's and then it sort of leads you down one path and then around the houses a bit. And I tell you what, I thought was amazingly well done though, and just elevated it a little bit higher than just kind of like art ho stuff. Was like the way it was filmed. You never really got like a straight face-to-face scene, so they went to massive lengths to film this narrative through kind of looking through things or looking behind things or reflections of things. So they're either filmed through windows, like car windows, or in rear view mirrors, or in a mirror on the wall, or from around the corner as if someone's kind of peeking around the corner, or in a reflection in something, or from a distance, or like with a handheld camera kind of moving around. Like the different perspectives were so goddamn clever in kind of giving you this unsettling, like you see it really clearly. And there's a scene where she is invited into the drug dealer's house at the beginning, and you're wondering where this is all going, because I went into it blind. I didn't read any blurbs, so I didn't know what it was going to be about. And that's the scene when you realize it's a vampire movie, if you didn't know that already. And there's just he's kind of watching all the coke he can get up his nose and having a boogie, and she's just she's just
gonna watch this coke, as much as I could get. He had lines like he had loads of lines all the way around the table, so it's like no matter where he was sat, he'd always have some.
Yeah, exactly.
I respect that.
And just there's little moments where she's just kind of fiddling with his drum kit, so to speak, and it's just like the way that whole scene is shot is from so many different angles and perspectives. It's crazy disorienting, and I loved that. I thought it was so well done. And scenes in the car and stuff, it's just I've noticed that, and the music more than anything else, I think. It just really kind of left an impression on me, I think, visually.
It's a weird one. I mean, this is the kind of film where someone had bigged it up to me like so much the first time I watched it. Because on the face of it, it's my kind of perfect film. It's kind of quirky. It's got that Eraserhead aesthetic. And I really like Ana Lily Amirpour. She has like a really great Instagram page where she posts lots of stuff about David Lynch and lots of cool directors, lots of cool people. But the first time I watched it, I found it. When someone's bigged something up so much, your expectations aren't really set properly. I found it a little bit vacuous the first time I saw it. I didn't quite understand and I think it was because the plot was just far too light for me. But this time, I think I enjoyed it a lot more. I think I just kind of settled into what it was. I still think it's paced a little bit too slowly. But it was an enjoyable experience, really.
Yeah, the pace is an issue, but then I was thinking about that, like how else would you do it? Like there's a pivotal scene where Arash's father he kicks him out of the house, and he takes all his money and goes to the hooker and kind of basically forces her to do heroin, and it's a really uncomfortable scene where he kind of ties her wrists together with his own belt and injects her, and then injects himself with the same needle, which just made me like and it's just horribly abusive. It's so abusive, and just I'm not quite sure how you move from that to something else at a more of a kind of pacey speed. Do you know what I mean? Without like demeaning that whole scene. And there were a couple of moments like that where Arash is at the party and he's dancing and he's done drugs and he doesn't really know where he is, and you're supposed to kind of feel for like how vulnerable he is, and it's really dreamy but also a bit unsettling because you just feel really bad for him because he's completely out of his depth with all these wealthy people that have got money for coke and whatever. And it's just like, I'm not sure whether it needed to be a faster movie and needed to be faster paced, because I think what it was trying to do was just a couple of character studies really of kind of life and how people bump into each other and then move on. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a kind of breakneck speed thing. Like the more I think about it, the more I think
there's one scene that was like 5 minutes on like one shot. And I was like, come on, like, I don't know. I understand. I kind of agree, but it's more like of a tone.
It kind of struck me that like life in Bad City had like ground to a halt essentially, and that everything was like dilapidated, and the fact that these slow sort of studies of life were kind of supposed to reflect that in a way, I guess. But
I wonder if she gets that from David Lynch, because she talks about David Lynch a lot, and Eraserhead is some of the slowest. It's one of the slowest paced movies I've ever seen in my life.
I was going to say, like, and just really indulgent. Like he can just does what he wants to do for the sake of what he wants to try to get that feel across, and that disorienting kind of. 1 minute it's like a family saga or drama, and then the next minute it's like, what the fuck is happening? And it's like, it's obviously a very deliberate choice, I think, to kind of try and recreate that. And if he can be indulgent, then why can't she? You know, I think that I liked that. I thought stylistically it worked.
Do you think this film would have been as effective if it wasn't a vampire movie, if you took that element out of the story?
I don't know if it feels quite central to the whole thing. I think I'm not too sure really. If you took it out, it'd be like one of Shane Meadows' more experimental films, I think.
That's what I think.
This is Iran instead of
this is Iran. So it's quite a small cast as well. So you've got Sheila Band as the girl, Arash Marandi as Arash, Marshall Manesh as Hussein, that's his dad, isn't it? Hussein?
I think so. Yeah. It's either his dad or his
Saeed is like the drug dealer. The drug dealer looks like the guy from Diane Ford, doesn't he? He looks like the same guy. For a second, I was like, is that now? I mean, it's not, but nearly. With the sort of flat top mullet, face tattoo.
He was actually very good in that role, I think. Like, although he was a nasty drug dealer, and I couldn't wait for him to get his comeuppance, he did it incredibly well. And we could have probably done with seeing a little bit more of that, and like just escalated his nastiness a bit higher. You know,
having like a central antagonist in the sort of for the proceedings probably would have worked a little bit better, I think. Because it was nice to hate him, and then he was dead before you kind of knew it.
Which was like important so that you knew it was a vampire movie, and that was like his set piece. But at the same time, if he'd been worked on a bit more, I think it could have perhaps been a bit more satisfying as well. Like, it was satisfying because he was a prick. But he was also like a drug dealing bully. He wasn't like a murderer or anything. His car. So, do
you know how many days I worked for that car? 2,000.
I mean, who drives a car like that anyway without getting it nicked after
in Bad City?
We're supposed to, I do wonder if he stole that car. I'm watching it again, second time. They were supposed to think that he worked for 2,191 days to save up for that car, but he stole everything else.
He stole the earrings, didn't he? And he didn't even think twice about it.
I think he might have stolen that car. We just not implied.
Going around, stealing cats, stealing earrings, stealing cars. Nothing matters to this guy.
Stealing, what's his name? James Dean's looks.
But like at the end of the movie, he realizes that his kind of brand new girlfriend of like 2 days has murdered his dad, and he still drives off into the night with her. So he's got
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, his
a lot of
dad,
learning to do.
in a way, was a burden upon him.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
how when he kicked his dad out and went, "Here's all the money, here's all the drugs," and he went, and his dad left and was like dead in less than 12 hours. What's wrong with you? For God's sake, have some self-respect. Dead in 12 hours.
It's never explicitly stated that he knows it's the same cat. He could, that moment of realization on his face is him going, "What? I've got the same cat." We're made for each other.
I stole the same cat. Now you've stolen the cat off me. That's too far.
Yeah.
But the cat had like a psychic link with the girl, right? She knows that things are going wrong with Arash's dad, because the cat is like present in the room.
Hussein thinks that the cat is the reincarnation of his dead wife.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I wonder if it is the reincarnation of his dead wife.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Could be. It was definitely watching out for people. Like,
yeah.
So if we just go through the plot, I guess, as quickly as we can. So obviously we've just covered a bit of it, where Arash at the very beginning, opening credits, steals a cat. He's got a heroin addicted father who's like always sat on the floor, just have a little go in the armchair. And there's a drug dealing pimp
go on that.
named Saeed, who's obviously being a bit of a bastard. He's owed a load of money, so he takes Arash's prized car in possession. And then Arash gets really angry and punches a wall, which,
We've all
just
been there.
Instant regret, we're going to punch that fucking wall. Oh no. He does break his hand, doesn't he? Because he gives the doctor later on.
Yeah, he's got a cast for the rest of the movie, I think.
That's right.
Very similar.
So there's some other minor characters. There's like a little boy who's wearing a lot of layers. I just kept thinking he must be ever so warm. He's got like
he looks quite old though. Like he had the kind of
turtleneck and blazer combo, which is a great combo. But
he looked like a university lecturer. Like he's
Bless him.
Who'd been shrunk.
Old beyond his years.
Horticulture.
So we got that dude. And I guess like there's some other. There's not really any other named characters in it, are there? There's just not that
Atty,
many.
I think her name is Atty, the prostitute.
Yeah, that is Amirpour herself, isn't it? She plays that character.
Really?
Does she? She
definitely
plays some, or does she play the other one? She's in it.
I knew she did the skateboarding scenes because she's a skateboarder. I knew she did the skateboarding scenes as what's her flavour?
I think she was a character at the party, the one who had like the Day of the Dead face.
She's definitely in it. Hang on, I might have got this confused. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, Atty is Mozan Marno.
I think
misread that.
I think that was someone at the party. I think. I'm not.
Oh yeah, Skeleton Party Girl. There we go. She's in it, but.
Oh. And the cat's called Masuka. The cat's got a name, so.
Good name.
Refer
to
name, Bazooka from now on.
Bazooka, did you say?
Masuka.
Oh,
Bazooka. Bazooka, that Veruca.
Oh my god.
Bazooka, that warts. That's how you got to ask for it. If you go into the pharmacy, you got to go, "Have you got any Bazooka, that Veruca, please?" Because otherwise they just won't know what you mean. If you ask for Bazooka, they just lift up a shutter and they've just got loads of guns and stuff. Arms dealers. That's what happens. That's what happens in Bad City. So Arash has got a job. He's like what? Alan Titchmarsh. Does a bit of gardening on the side.
He's the odd job man, isn't he? He's the one that gets bossed around.
Yeah,
by the wealthy family.
She goes, "Come up here and tune in my TV."
Yep.
That's for God's sake.
What kind of TV was it? Was it a CRT TV? Is that what it needed tuning in? I can't remember.
I'm not sure. But what was going on with this? So that's Shada, this woman. Has she got like some sort of like thing? What's that thing on her nose?
She's had a nose job.
She's had a nose job, right?
Yeah, and that's the implication is that she's trying to fix her nose. I believe.
I thought it was those little bands you put across your nose when you like snore.
My immediate was like, oh, she's had a nose job, which would make sense with the context of her being a rich girl with lots of money.
That makes a lot more sense, because why would you wear something to stop yourself?
Or she just snores really heavily
all day. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then he steals some earrings, which are just there on the table. I think, at least go and have a look around in her drawers for something else. Don't just take it to the table. It's obvious then, isn't it? It's obvious.
Yeah. Just go look around in the drawers for something else.
Just go have a look around in her drawers. That's much more respectable. And then we're kind of introduced to the girl. Because Saeed, the drug dealer, is just wandering around the streets at night, just walking around. And does she follow him, or does she just like walk past him and then?
Well, no, he's also a pimp, so he meets up with Atty, the prostitute, and there's a nasty scene where he kind of encourages her to suck him off in the car, and then gets kind of distracted because the shadow of the girl is standing behind watching.
Yeah.
Then he kind of pushes Atty out of the car and drives off, and then she clearly kind of follows him home. She's watching to see how men are. She's obviously kind of prowling the streets. She's hungry. She kind of sees. She chooses men to eat, not women, and then she chooses men who act in questionable ways, which is why she asks the little boy when she
meets polo packet.
When she meets the little boy, though, she says, "Are you a good boy? You know?" And because otherwise she's going to eat him.
Yeah, so, I like that because it kind of made me think
she's a rebel.
She's just making sure he doesn't develop and grow into an asshole by
Instead, he's going to be a traumatized person.
Her voice when she was scaring him, scared me a little bit.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm going to try my best to be a good boy now. Sorry, don't get me, please. So yeah, she goes back to Saeed's gaff, where he's doing a load of drugs and putting on some tunes.
And it's really shit music as well. What I loved about that scene is that like the music throughout the rest of the film is so tasteful and like cool and like indie and hipster, I guess, in a little bit of a way. And then he just puts on this like hardcore techno or whatever it is, and he's just like having a bit of a club night in his room, and the contrast is so bang on. I thought it was really clever.
You'll find out a lot about a character just by what music they're listening to. You see,
you can. I mean, I like a bit of techno. Don't worry, get me wrong, but
he's a terrible. I just kept thinking he's a terrible host because he comes in and he just starts going about his business, keep all the cocaine for himself for like.
No, he did offer her a line. He did,
but the moment had gone. I thought, I was like, all right, no, don't bother.
You're just doing it to be polite. I can tell you don't really want to.
I've given you a little line there, see? A tiny little line. You'll like that. It's delightful. Are you being selfish with your cocaine, Saeed?
What is that cape hood thing that the girl is wearing?
It's called a chador. It's a traditional dress, I believe. So it's
really cool, and it really suits the kind of vampire.
It does. I thought that it was really effective, wasn't it? Because it's sort of like a cape, but not. It was kind of. Also, I don't know whether there's a piece in that as well about reclaiming, kind of religious clothing or traditional clothing a little bit as well, or not reclaiming it, but kind of working it into a new genre as well. And I know there's a lot of debate around kind of clothes that women wear in certain countries and stuff, but I really liked that it had a kind of, I don't know, cool, dark, kind of bit like Batman edge to it, really.
It's a really cool character design with like the striped top and on a skateboard as well.
The skateboard was awesome.
Looked very intimidating when the was it Chador? Did you say Chador was down? But at one point when she was skating, it was flowing behind her, and you could kind of see
and the
she
line
was just
of
a woman
that...
in jeans and a t-shirt.
But it was so smooth as well, though, right? Like when she's just that shape, just smoothly going along on the board. I loved that. I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. So in this scene, Saeed's coming onto her. He likes putting his fingers in people's mouths, doesn't he? And you knew as soon as he started doing that, it wasn't going to end well for him. And she bites his finger off. Before, obviously, she shows her fangs first, and I like the little sound effect of when the fangs came out.
All good vampire movies need a little moment, don't they? They do it with rattlesnakes in films, so why not with vampires?
Yeah. It reminded me of the noise when Wolverine's claws come out.
I wonder how they do that.
Very.
Because it's not like a butter like that pops them out. Like
Maybe there is.
Do we have something like a cat? Like it will spread its paws, right, and the claws will come out. What? Even Wolverine. How does he? What's the connection? How do you make it come out? You don't have to think happy thoughts. Maybe it's just the scent of blood or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
I
it's
think
like
it's
very like switchbladey. I feel like she's got a little switch on the back of the neck. Popping out.
like an action man.
You know those switches that used to move the eyes? One for the face.
That would be really bad in a combat situation.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me press my button. So yeah, she bites his finger off, then she puts the severed finger in his mouth. How'd you like it?
Just desserts, I thought.
would
Just
like it.
desserts.
Loves himself. It's the best
would
thing
like
I've ever tasted.
You know what? I've gone way more Bristol on this one just because you're here, Ben, than I normally would. Just noticing it.
It's good to hear. I don't think I think I go pretty Bristol on the podcast as well. I think in my day-to-day life, I don't know, maybe not so much. Others would say differently.
As a sommelier at the Vine, the Ivy, whatever it's called.
Yeah, so she kills Saeed, sucks his blood, and as she leaves, she's pretty much doesn't care about leaving the crime scene, and she's even got blood all around her mouth as she leaves, and Arash sees her leaving as well. But he's come to offer the earrings he's stolen for the car, and he's like, "Score, I get both." And he does. He keeps
And
both.
some
He
drugs.
sees that.
And a nice briefcase.
And a
Those
whole
other ones kind of
briefcase full of drugs,
Yeah.
money, and a gun, which is nice. All the things
Yeah.
you want.
Handy. Mm.
I mean, Saeed, maybe not the pimp element, but I think he wants to be that kind of respected to whatever degree kind of character, right? He wants to be bad, and he's not. He's quite an innocent soul. It's when he's on drugs later on, that kind of innocent, childlike nature comes out, which is why he doesn't get eaten. But he's kind of taking some of Saeed's identity when he takes the briefcase.
I was cross with him for that as well. When he starts offering drugs to the girls at the party, I was like, "Oh, come on, you're better than this." And it's like you say, he just wanted to be impressive because, presumably, because of like his social status, he's just been completely invisible. And even the girl that employs him bosses him around, like does a farm boy, Princess Bride kind of jobby on him. And it's like it's just. She doesn't consider him seriously at all. And then the sad thing is that he kind of gets wasted at that party and then kind of makes a move on her and she's still not interested in him. And then she sort of drapes herself around a slightly higher status friend. And it's just like, for him, he just wants to succeed in life. And that's why he's got that silly car. And that's why he dresses like James Dean. And like, he's got aspirations for his life that are above the shitty deal he's been given. And he thinks that maybe that's how you do it. That you get that wealth and status is by doing the same things that the other guy did. And actually, I was cross with him.
Yeah.
As you would be. But I was quite glad he sort of didn't go down that whole full-blown, turned into a nasty guy in the character arc. I thought it was good that he didn't.
Yeah, so he's at the party dressed as Dracula, and he gets coerced into taking one of the ecstasy pills. It was one of the, he's selling the pills as well, isn't he? Because I know he's got cocaine, but was he selling the pills?
He's got everything in the suitcase.
Oh, don't try your own product. Jesus, on the job as well. That's not very good. Yeah. So what happens? He just ends up roaming the streets.
Yeah, he kind of turns. He gets lost. He's like a little toddler wandering around, looking at lights. Which
just standing there gazing up.
And then the girl turns up and what I can't even remember.
That's a nice bit as well of subversion there, because like the whole idea of a girl walks home alone at night, you immediately think, oh god, here we go, we're gonna see a vulnerable young woman drunk walking home from a club at night or something, and something bad happens to her. And actually it's the drunk, vulnerable man walking home from a party and he's lost and he doesn't know what's happening to him. And this woman comes along and kind of takes him back to hers. And it's a real nice little subversion of that kind of, I guess, trope is the right word for that. And
my house isn't far from here.
Yeah, well, he can't walk, so she sticks him on a skateboard and wheels him home.
Humiliating. That's humiliating. Oh, just down on a skateboard, getting pushed home. Oh, this is my lowest moment. You'd like that, would you?
Yeah,
While dressed as Dracula?
Yeah, why not?
Is it before this that the girl sees Hossein like on the street as well, and she's like taunting him, like copying him from across the street, and he ends up running away?
Oh yeah.
I think that was just
remember
before.
that bit. I don't remember that. I remember Hussein is following Atty around a lot, and he won't let her go, which kind of traditional creepy old man behaviour. But that's quite unsettling as well.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, back at the girl's crib, she's playing all of her tunes for him. What is that song she plays? I need to know, because on the soundtrack there's quite a few songs, and is it the White Lies song?
I don't know, but it was good. I liked it. She's got a good vinyl collection.
Very nice. She's got like collections of lots of stuff. I think she must have been around for a long time. So she's got like a big stack of watches, and there's like maps on the wall. So I imagine she's probably moved around a lot. There's a lot of cool little set design sort of.
She's basically
emphasis or add extra details to her character. Yeah. It's quite cool.
With all the watches, I just thought, all right, Del Boy. She does the slowest turn I've ever seen in film either. It was the slowest turn. It's like, it takes, how long does that turn take? It's a good 30-second turn, right?
That's your Lynch, though. That's your like, and actually those moments where she is moving slowly and you know something bad's going to happen, like the music kind of underneath all of that, the slow bass build that just creeps up really cleverly. It does work. It's like definitely creeping dread, I think, rather than like outright horror. And it is a bit, again, it's a bit like Let the Right One In. It's that very slow, kind of deliberate, quiet. Is it quiet horror that they call it? I think they do, don't they?
I could never hear him.
To speak up, for God's sake. I think that song is White Lies, and it's called Death. So I think if you want to listen to it again, that's what it's what? Okay, speak up. Yeah. So they have their quiet moment. What does she like? Is there a moment where she's like looking at his neck? Because in the description it says she resists his exposed neck.
Even I was tempted by that neck.
Oh, come on. That is the most tempting neck I've ever seen.
I don't know what it is about movie podcasts and boys and necks, but over at the necronomy.com, Josh Rubin and James Sabata spent 20 minutes talking about Michelle Pfeiffer's neck in Batman Returns. So it's just like, I want another podcast with...
What's going on with her neck in Batman Returns?
Michelle Pfeiffer in that film.
There we
I was
are,
very young.
Yeah. It was very formative, clearly, and her neck was a big part of that.
Yeah.
It does make me chuckle.
You know that she whipped off all those mannequin heads, Michelle Pfeiffer. She whipped them off in one take.
Goodness.
Yeah, I saw that, and I saw them like all like applauding her after she did it as well.
I wouldn't cheer. I'd be terrified of her.
And then she got in the litter tray
afterwards. Oh my God, Luke. Oh,
good.
She's still in character then.
Still in character then? What? Yeah. So, and then what happens after that? They meet the next night, don't they? And the girl's talking about all the terrible things she's done, and he's like, "I've done terrible things." And it's like, it's not a competition. I've done more terrible things than you. I've murdered people, and he's like, "Oh, I nicked some earrings once."
And a cat. God. He nicked a cat. I do think that's quite a big crime.
That's worse, yeah.
And a car, probably. And
and he gives her the earrings, and then she's like, "My ears aren't pierced." And but then does she suggest piercing the ears?
Yeah, she pops.
Are they? I feel like he does burn the.
It's quite a cool scene. It feels kind of like old school, like kind of classic cinema romance where he's kind of like lighting the pin.
It would have been different if they just went down to Claire's accessories to get her ears pierced.
No, you see, that's the scene. I love that. That's the scene, like, for me, where I kind of reality started to kick in a little bit. Like, if some bird that you've only just met kind of says, "Oh, thanks for these nice earrings. I can't wear them, but would you stab holes in my ears with this safety pin?"
I think I'd go in with the earring like I'd use the earring to do the piercing.
I think most dudes would be like, "No, I'm all right actually. Let's just leave it for a bit and we'll think about it." Like,
you're already getting stabbed.
And she's so weird and intense, and he doesn't well, he sort of does flinch a little bit. Like there's a moment on his face where he's just a bit like, all right. But he's either like, he's either so naive he doesn't realize that that's a bit fucked up, or it's just not quite realistic, I think, for how a guy might respond in that situation. Like I have a feeling that if I was on a date with someone and I asked them to randomly stab holes in my ears, I'd probably like not be up on a second date.
But he's trying to play up to that kind of bad man role still, though, isn't he? I think a little bit. So
maybe.
I mean, maybe he wouldn't stab someone.
You got anything else, Pierce? Tongue, belly button? I'll do it all while I'm here.
Maybe a tattoo.
Maybe a little stick and poke as well. The backdrop here is like there's a lot of backdrops of like the oil refinery and stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It always makes for good cinema, doesn't it? The arms that kind of go up and down, they're kind of doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
Looking for the oil, I don't know. But yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah, what are they doing? Daniel Day-Lewis
refining
knows.
oil, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Refining here.
And then what's next? After that, that's their second date, which was lovely. They'll be talking about that for years. And then later on is when this is when the girl and Ati, the prostitute who worked for Saeed, she gets followed home by the woman. But then they have a nice little. Do they have a drink together or something?
They have a bit of a chat, don't they? About Ati sees the watch that belonged to the drug dealer.
That's right, yeah.
And kind of says, finds out that she's got more to her than meets the eye.
Like a transformer.
Yeah.
Whoa, this ain't this kind of film. Yeah, and there's a big fight scene with Megatron, and then what's the next one?
And then I think is this the bit where Hossein is because he hadn't any drugs in ages, and he starts to think that the cat is the reincarnation of his dead wife.
Oh, and he's having proper withdrawals, isn't he? And I was starting to worry for the cat because I'm not a huge cat fan, but I didn't necessarily want anything to happen to the cat either because it was a nice, pretty cat.
Who knows?
And I was starting to feel for the cat's safety a little bit.
Yeah.
So Arash has just had enough. He's like, I've had it up to here with you and your heroin. So you're gonna get what you want: load of money, load of drugs.
Get out.
And sling your hook, which he does.
Pretty much.
Takes the cat with him as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, he says Arash is like, I don't want it anymore, and I wondered about that, and there was some significance to that I probably missed.
Take your wife with you. I mean, cat.
Well, yeah. What a peculiar thing. If you've got your reincarnated wife as a cat, where do you take her to see the prostitute? Like, it's just such a weird.
It is weird
scenario.
Maybe he's punishing her though, because he said to her when he was smashing up her pictures, "You left me like this."
Yeah.
Maybe there's an element of like punishing her for something.
Do we know what happened to her? Did she pass away? Or?
I'm presuming she just died, and then he made that her problem. Rather than sorting his life out and being.
Oh, die are you? Well, I'm gonna go and do a load of heroin. See how you like that?
Exactly. And my son can just fucking look after himself, but it's all about me.
Yeah. Obviously, the distressing scene you mentioned before, with him and Ati, but then the girl turns up while it's afterwards, isn't it? Like they've fallen asleep.
Yeah, he kind of goes to sleep with her, cuddling her, and it's like at that moment, any kind of sympathy I might have had for him was just gone. And they were trying to sort of reclaim it a little bit he's obviously very lonely and just wanted some human comfort, but didn't have to be a nasty scumbag in order to do it.
I'm so lonely, I'm gonna be abusive and
I'm gonna force you to take heroin. Yeah, it's just I mean we all get like that sometimes. It just I understand.
Yeah. And then he gets what he deserves is that the woman, the girl. I keep calling her the girl, but she is just called the girl.
That's her name on the
vampire girl.
Yeah.
She turns up and kills him.
And that's like the most climactic scene in the film. And then everything from then is just like a quiet slope down, isn't it? Like, and maybe they could have made more of that perhaps if that was the peak. I think the crescendo.
Yeah, because it kind of felt like after this scene when Atty helps to dispose of the body as well, they take the cat and leave. It kind of felt like there was nothing. The film didn't really know exactly where it was going to go now. Because I know Arash and the girl decide to run away, but it felt like it would have had more impact if they were running away from something or from somebody. I guess, sure, they're running away from the fact that she's essentially killed more people, but it doesn't seem like there's any law to really worry about.
There was no real threat to her, was there? That was the thing. Like she was just this kind of she just sort of moves through the world, dishing out judgment and eating whatever and whoever she chooses. And there didn't seem to be any real threat to her. Like none of the, which on one hand I quite liked. There was none of that like sunlight bollocks, or although it's noticeable you only ever see her in the dark, so you just that's implied.
I quite like that, the fact that there was none of the vampire lore,
none of the lore associated with it. But at the same time, it's like, are they just going to be, is it an actual Western, and are they just now drifters going from place to place with some country music bootling along in the back? Or is there something more sinister driving them on or away? But then maybe it doesn't, maybe again it's a style choice, and that ambiguity is like that kind of calling card of hers. So
yeah, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about the ending. There seems to be a moment where it's almost as if Arash is making the decision. Is he just going to let her? Is he not going to bring up the death of his father, and is he just going to go with her and accept her for who she is, or not? I guess that's kind of like the emotional kind of ending to it, but I don't know.
I mean, they're going to have therapy for years about that, aren't they? They're going to have issues. Yeah. It's going to come up in arguments.
It's going to come up. The longer
he's going to bury it. He's going to bury it down, and in 10 years they'll have a big argument, and he'll go,
and he'll throw it
kill
back
my
in
dad
face.
from you.
Yeah,
about someone will bring in broccoli, and that'll come out. My dad.
Yeah. Remember when you ate my dad?
No.
Yeah.
I did that for you.
Yeah. I mean, now you're bringing up Let the Right One In, I can't help but compare the endings to both of them, and I just Let the Right One In is one of my favorite movies.
But that has the emotional.
Of all time.
That had much more of an emotional punch for me, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're so much younger, they're children, and they're kind of the innocence implied made that whole scenario much more satisfying. Or just there was much more of a slow build of danger for her as well. Like if she didn't eat, you could see how much in distress she actually was and how much at risk she was of dying. You don't really get that with the girl in this movie. She just seems to be quite invulnerable. I think there needs to be
there's true conflict in that film, though. With this film, it feels like the conflict is kind of doesn't quite ever rise to the surface. It's always kind of like there, but quite hidden. And
maybe that's why people in the negative reviews are saying it is quite empty, or it feels quite vacuous, or it doesn't have the kind of concern. There's no element of concern throughout it. It feels...
Yeah, I think vacuous is the wrong word, because that just implies it's all surface, and it's like there was some real themes here, and some quite deep themes to do with like social status and the nature of like accepting someone for who they are, and kind of stuff that women have to put up with, and that feminist angle as well. But I just wonder whether it needed notching up a little bit more for me, like just a little bit more of that, and really kind of hammer that home. It just fell shy a little bit of the bar, perhaps.
Yeah. And then that's how it ends. They ride off into the nighttime, into the next movie. Well, there is I don't know if it's the next movie, but there's a comic book series. I don't know if that goes into any deeper.
Yeah, she did. Did she release graphic novels at the same time, or something? I read somewhere.
Yeah, it was a 6-part graphic novel series. It says in 2014, so that's the same year. Explores the girl's backstory. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
definitely read that.
What is going on with her back? I always thought about that. So we got a bit of name game. I don't know. I don't know if you know what it become quite clear, Gemma, when we do the first one. Basically, I'm going to give you a little bit about a film I saw that was very similar to this film, and you have to tell me the name of the film, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's not as
I was going to say you're expecting a lot from my very frazzled brain.
This game does not expect
don't.
a lot from anybody. In fact, sometimes it expects nothing from anybody.
Yeah, you'll see what we mean. So this film I saw the other night was about a film. It was a film about a girl who walks home alone at night, but it turned out she was part bird. Any idea what that one's called?
What?
So a girl walking home alone at night, and she's flapping her feathers and shouting in the way that birds do.
Shouting?
Yeah, well, what do birds do? They don't bark.
I have no idea. I should know, but I have no idea.
What do birds do?
They don't bark.
A girl squawks home alone at night.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. The silver one I watched, which maybe doesn't quite work. It's about a little mammal, a little mammal that walks around the capital of Italy at night. Not as good, this one, but it's decent.
A little mammal.
Hang on, so are we talking, are you trying to make up the title of the movie with like totally unrelated things?
That's
okay,
so
are we talking
That's the name
the girl
game.
walks around Verona at night or something like that?
Close.
Close, okay.
Not as smart as that. So it's about a little mammal. You see him everywhere in trees, stealing nuts.
A squirrel.
A squirrel.
Well, if you say it properly, squirrel.
A squirrel walks around Rome at night.
The squirrel walks Rome alone at night. Pretty decent.
I've like forgotten what the film's called. I need to get it in front of me.
I forgot what my own name is now.
A squirrel. Is that what you're saying, Luke?
Film. Squirrel. Oh, squirrel frames.
Squirrel.
If I'm saying it in polite conversation, I say squirrel. Sure. But to make it work for this game,
squirrel.
I have to change it.
Squirrel. Yeah.
Okay. So the second one I watched, it's pretty good. I thought this one was the best out of the bunch. So a film about a girl who has a dog named after a famous Macaulay Culkin sequel, and she only walks that dog at night.
Oh my god! A
girl walks. What?
Home alone at
girl
night.
walks home alone at night. It's the same.
Close. It's the sequel.
A girl walks home alone too at night.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Nothing happens. She just takes the dog for a long walk. This other one was pretty nonsensical. This is one about a girl who stays up all night and she keeps banging on about the Google internet browser.
A girl
walks Chrome alone.
Well, close, but she doesn't go anywhere. She's in a bedroom talking. I mean,
a girl browses Chrome alone at night.
I was gonna go browse.
It's about a girl. She's I don't want to say the word, but she's saying lots about this browser. You could say it rhymes with walk.
Talks Chrome alone at night.
The girl who talks Chrome alone at night. That's the one. And this last one, I mean, this was a banger. This was about a girl who stayed up all night trying to sell her hundreds and hundreds of dodgy copies of the third Mad Max movie.
Wait, the third one? That's
the third one.
Thunder. No. Yeah? Thunderdome. A girl.
She's trying to sell loads of copies. She's got tons of these copies of Mad Max 3. She's trying to get rid of them to anyone.
Sells Thunderdome at night?
Just say what you're going to say, and I'll point you in the right
girl
place.
Sells Thunderdome at night?
Well, she didn't sell it. Well, she did sell it, but she's, Del Boy in it.
Oh, my days.
A girl. Flogs.
Rhymes with walks.
Hawks.
Yeah. The girl who hawks Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome alone at night.
Yeah.
I think you need to have a strong word with yourself, Luke. Go and sit in the corner for 5 minutes and assess what you've done.
We're well past that. We do this every week.
There have been some bizarre name games, Luke, but that might be the most bizarre of all of them. And I respect you for that. I tip my hat. And more of the same next week, please.
Good use of the word hawks, though. I need to get that in somewhere. I think it's an underused word.
What did I say? Cells. I really wasn't going in what the point of the game was, but yeah, there we go. I'm glad you had fun, Luke. even though I read it.
So we need to rate the movie. We normally go between A and F, but you could choose whatever rating scale you like.
Well, on the alphabet, I'm assuming, not the periodic table.
We tend to stick with the alphabet. You could go periodic table if that's your bag.
Yeah,
Okay, no, it's not. I'm not good at science.
Judge.
So which is the lower end and which is the higher end?
I tend to see F as the lower end.
Okay,
Myself.
working up towards A.
It's A plus is the.
We do pluses and minuses as well.
Very Bristol. A.
A.
Market
E.
E, mind.
Don't do an E though. This one.
I am going to give it a solid C plus.
Interesting. I thought you were going to go a little higher than that.
Yeah, I thought
No,
maybe
I
you'd
think-
go a little bit higher.
I think I wanted more from the story, but I loved the look and the feel, and I would definitely watch it again. I would definitely hunt down the soundtrack, but I wanted more from the story. Just needed certain parts of it, just needed ramping up a little bit, perhaps, or focusing more on for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. How about you, Ben?
I might go a tiny little bit higher. So I think I'll go for a B minus. Because, yeah, I liked it. I think, yeah, the third act possibly lacked a tad for me in terms of like the narrative. It kind of tailed off, fizzled out. But apart from that, I think it was a nice, unique take on a vampire movie. Looks great, sounds great. It was good times.
Say B.
B minus, mate.
B minus. Okay. Well, I was going to go straight with B. I think, yeah, the story is a bit lacking, but I think the aesthetics and the tone are so unique and like palpable that it's difficult not to kind of love that. It's like with Drive. That's like you mentioned Drive earlier. That's like so based around the aesthetic of it. That's kind of the point of it, and I do love it for that reason as well. So I'm going to give it a B. Last time I watched it, I was like a D. I just didn't really sort of take to it, but this time it's gone up. It's gone up in my estimation. So yeah, there we go.
Grower
Yeah.
and a shower.
Very nice. Very,
Yeah.
very, very nice. There we go.
Cool. All right.
That's that.
So that's that. Thanks for listening. You can become a patron over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovacs Cameron for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. Join the Facebook group, Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Thanks to my co-host Ben for being a right horror dude. Also,
Thank you very much.
thanks to our guest, Gemma Amor. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Where can we find your stuff, all your stuff and things?
Now's
All
the
my
time
stuff and-
to
Stuff
hawk
and
your
things.
wares.
Oh, I'm gonna hawk my wares. Okay. Easiest place to find all of my stuff is on Amazon at the moment. Just stick my name into Google and I come up in various different places. Social media. I'm all over it, everywhere, apart from TikTok because I don't know what that is. Haven't done that yet. And you can also hear quite a lot of my short stories have been adapted by the No Sleep podcast. You can go to their website, put my name into the search bar to bring up a list, or you can just listen to the whole back catalogue of 15 seasons now, like literally thousands of short, scary stories. I also have a podcast that I co-write and I'm in. It stars Kate Siegel, called Calling Darkness, which is a horror comedy podcast, if you like that sort of thing. And I'm a voice actor in various other different shows. You can look me up on Podchaser, and I've got a growing list of kind of appearances and bits and pieces. But if you want reading stuff, definitely go to Amazon. And you can also find me on gemmaamorauthor.com.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Yeah, what are we doing next week then?
Stuff. I think Andy's back, and we're going to be doing Jacob's Ladder.
Okay, cool. I've seen that in ages.
I've never seen it. What's it about? Window cleaner. Second week on the trot. I made that joke.
Well, it's
Enjoy
classic.
it. Enjoy it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's coming back next week. Same jokes, same time, same place.
Cool. All right, guys. I'm going to end the recording there. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.